G'day everyone, welcome back to Beast Lab. Today's episode is lesson 4 on RGB LEDs. We'll go over to the bench now and take a look at the project. We're over on the PC now. We'll take a look at lesson number 4. Here it is. RGB LED. I'll scroll down, we'll take a look at the components required. You'll need the 2560 Mega board. You need the breadboard, the male-to-male jumper wires, one RGB LED, and 3 220 ohm resistors. Scroll down a little bit further now. Here's the RGB LED. There's 3 anodes and 1 cathode. Cathode is your negative and your anodes are your positive. There's a red anode, a green anode, and a blue anode. That's where we get the RGB from, red, green, blue. And all of these anodes return back through the single cathode. So depending on which leg you put the voltage on, is what colour the LED is going to be. Scroll down a little bit further. There's the diode itself. You can see the 3 anodes and then the 1 cathode there. That's the symbol for diode, the triangle with a line through it, and an LED has these 2 little arrows pointing away. So that's a light emitting diode, and there's 3 of those inside this one LED. By changing the voltage on the legs, you can come up with pretty much any colour. You can see here on this diagram, when they cross over, you produce different colours. So you write the program to whichever colours you desire. I'm not going to go into the PWM. The theory's a bit complex, so we'll leave that for another time. That's how the microprocessor is going to control the LED. The voltage will be supplied to the LED via the digital pins here. So the digital pin 6, digital pin 5, and digital pin 3. Each of the legs of the LED has got to be in series with a 220 ohm resistor. This restricts the flow of current and stops that LED from burning out. So always make sure your LEDs, if they're supplied by that 5 volts, are in series with a 220 ohm resistor, otherwise they're going to burn out. And you see there the other side of the LED on the cathode just returns to ground. Scroll down to the wiring diagram. There's the LED. It's a bit hard to see the top of the LED there, but there's the pins that come out of it. Got your red, your cathode, and your green and your blue. They're in series with this resistor. And they feed back to the Mega board. Pick up your ground for the cathode. Pin number 6 for red, pin number 5 for green, and pin number 3 for blue. Before we get into the code, we'll go and build that now on the breadboard. Let's go and take a look. Before we start connecting the circuit, I'll just show you the Mega board quickly. These are the digital pins along here and also across here. And you see there, PWM, if we turn around the right way. here. That's pulse width modulation. It's a bit of a mouthful. We'll go into that at a later stage. Just for now, these are the digital pins we're going to be using to control that LED and also that ground, which is just here, the G and D. Wire that circuit in now. Here are the parts we need for the lesson. We've got those three 220 ohm resistors, your RGB LED, some jumper wires, and then the Mega board and the breadboard. If we take a look at the LED, that long pin there is the cathode, and the pin to the left of that is the red, and the pin to the right of that is green, and then to the right of that one, the far right pin is blue. So that's how we have to connect it on the board. So from left to right, it goes red, black, green, blue. We put that straight into the board now. You can choose any of these rows as long as the pins are all in their own hole. So there'll be 4 holes for the 4 pins. Just like that. These rows are all independent of one another. So once you've got it in that row, those 5 holes are now all one. They're separate to every other row along the board. So now we can connect to each of those pins, either on the holes behind it or the holes in front. Another important part of the breadboard is the center channel called the gutter. This isolates one side to the other. So all these rows here are separate to all the rows here. The handy feature of having that gutter is you can place an IC over the top there like that, and each of the pins is accessible. One set from this side and one set from that side. Because they're isolated, they're not shorted out. Now we'll put a 220 ohm resistor across that gutter from the anode to what will be that digital output on red. So do the same for the rest of them. So it's green and blue. Make sure these are not touching each other. You don't want any shorts. So there they are. There's the resistors in line with the anodes and across that gutter. And we can make the connection here back to the board. Now we'll grab those jumper wires. Got red, black, green, and blue. I've turned the board around just to make it easy for us. We can see the pins now. We'll connect the ground up. Then red is into digital 6. And green is digital 5. And blue is digital 3. So there we go, that's the connections made on the board. Spin that back around. That's the same as what's in the lesson there. Plug that in. We'll transfer the code over. We'll see what we get out of it. We're back on the PC now. We'll take a look at that code. The kit comes with this disc. It comes with all that information, all those lessons on that disc, as well as the code and libraries. So it's pretty handy. It's all there for you, ready to go. Just transfer those files to your computer and you'll have this here. You have your code, your libraries, there's the lesson. So for now, we'll go and get the code. And here we are here, lesson 4, RGB LED. It's easy as that. It comes straight up. It's all written out for you. When you're programming your Arduino, this code here is called a sketch. So you come up here and look at the top bar there, that's sketch. So this coding is called the sketch. And then up here, we're defining which pins we want to use for this program. So this is where you can see we're using digital pin 3 for blue, pin 5 for green, and pin 6 for red. In the setup code over here, you're defining those pins as outputs. This part of the setup code only runs once, just at the start of the code, whereas this loop loops over and over and over, and this is where you run your main code that's going to change the effects on the LED. Now if we take a look at the loop, this 255 here changes the color, so you can put in your own variant there to change the colors. And this here, the 10 is in milliseconds, so that's the time delay between the fading colors. So you can also change that to speed it up or slow it down. So you just play around with those parameters. Once you're happy with your sketch, go up to this drop down and select your board. Here's the Mega 2560. Click on that and then click upload. Before I click upload, we'll go back over to the Mega board. We'll show you the transmit and receive lights, the way they flicker as the code goes through and gets loaded in. We'll connect power to the board now. We've still got the blink sketch running from the previous lesson. So that LED indicator on the board is blinking away there. I'll go and click upload now. And you should see the TX and RX lights flicker. There they go. That's transmit and receive. That's the code going over to the microprocessor. And now we've got that code running on the LED, scrolling through a rainbow of colours. It's a nice effect. Get the full spectrum coming out of that LED, just with that little bit of code. Go back into the sketch now, we'll change a couple of parameters and have a look at what that does. I'll change the time delay here. We'll make that 60 milliseconds. Slow it down a lot. And then here, put in your value of 100. And then send that across. We'll go back over to the board, send that through, and see what the change is. All right, I'll click upload now. There's the new code. It's a whole lot different to what it was before, just with that little change. Go back and change that time delay back, speed it up a little bit. We'll check that out. We'll take this back to 10 might even put in a value here. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I'll click upload. Bit of a flicker there. There's a whole lot of different things you can do. This is obviously not that desirable, unless it's exactly what you want. You want some party lights or something, but fiddle around and eventually get the effect you're after. It's not too bad. Make sure you keep up to date with the channel, click that notification bell. Got all sorts of projects. I'll have a bit of everything there, from electrical, electronics, mechanical. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Plenty more lessons coming up. So take it easy. We'll catch you in the next episode.